All right, we're going to get started. Thanks to those who have joined us, and welcome to those who are going to see this recording afterwards. My name is Joanna Cohen. I'm director of the Institute for Global Tobacco Control, and I want to welcome you to our regular Innovations in Tobacco Control seminar series. I have the distinct pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Jenny Brown is an assistant scientist at the Institute for Global Tobacco Control in the Department of Health, Behavior, and Society at the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. And Dr. Brown's research examines key tobacco marketing themes, the effects of tobacco marketing on consumer perceptions, and compliance with tobacco control regulations with a focus on flavored tobacco products. Her research is primarily focused in low and middle income countries. She has previously worked at the World Health Organization and has supported efforts in countries in Africa and Southeast Asia to build capacity to regulate nicotine and tobacco products. And earlier on, she was at the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, supporting grant review and evaluating grantee progress. That was a number of years ago. Her career in tobacco control actually started in the state of California, where she advocated for smoke-free beaches and parks in San Luis and Santa Barbara counties. Jenny received her PhD from the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, and previously her MPH from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, Gillings School of Global Public Health. So I'm so pleased to welcome her and hear about a recent exciting study that she has been leading on colors, capsules, and concept flavor names on cigarette packs and their appeal to Mexican youth. So over to you, Jenny. Thanks so much.
Hello, thank you so much for the introduction, Dr. Cohen, and thank you everyone who's joining and those of you who are watching later. So I will share my screen. Okay, the title of my presentation today is Flavor, Capsules, and Colors on Cigarette Packs Appeal to Youth in Mexico. I want to recognize my collaborators.
I'm just going to interrupt. This time I'm seeing the presentation view. I know this is what happens. Perfect. We checked it before, but okay.
Okay. Okay, so this looks okay. Okay, great. Yes, so I want to recognize my collaborators and to thank them. Grazi Griot, Drs. Cohen, Clegg Smith, and Moran from Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, and Dr. Luz Miriam Reynales Shigematsu and Maria Guadalupe Flores from the National Institute of Public Health in Mexico. And also a big thank you to Grazi for keeping me updated on policy developments in Mexico and helping find images for this presentation. This research was supported with funding from Bloomberg Philanthropies Bloomberg Initiative to Reduce Tobacco Use, and Dr. Moran has a disclosure that you can read here. So this is today's agenda. First, I'll cover the background, specifically focusing on flavored cigarettes, mostly flavor capsule cigarettes. Then we'll talk about the methods that we used to conduct the study, the results of this study, strengths and limitations, and implications for policy. So starting out with the background, as you may all know, tobacco marketing heavily influences tobacco-related attitudes and behaviors. Cigarette packaging plays an important role in brand positioning, especially among youth and young adults who are still developing their brand preferences. And in markets like Mexico, where most tobacco advertising outside of the point of sale is prohibited, they're really key forms of advertising. the tobacco industry, they manipulate different cigarette pack design elements. So things like color, descriptors on the packs, the pack shape, and even the size of the pack to offer products that are attractive to consumers and that influence consumers' expectations about the product. So since this research was focused in Mexico, I wanted to provide you with some context. Mexico is a party to the World Health Organization Framework Convention on Tobacco Control. It became a party in 2005, and they enacted the Mexican General Law on Tobacco Control in 2008. Since the law was enacted, smoking rates have decreased, but still there's a prevalence of 18% of adults ages 20 and above who smoke tobacco, and 5.7% of youth ages 10 through 19 smoke tobacco. And flavor capsule cigarettes are very popular in the country. And when I refer to flavor capsule cigarettes, these are cigarettes with what's typically has a gelatin capsule that's filled with a liquid that has flavored liquid inside that's placed in the filter of cigarettes, and it can be pinched by a smoker to release a liquid that then flavors the smoke. In many countries, we see packs that cigarettes that have one capsule. In Mexico, we're more often seeing cigarettes that have 2 or more capsules inside of the filter. We've even seen up to 4 capsules in an individual cigarette. And flavor capsule cigarettes in Mexico hold a 27% share of the market. And Mexico has the 4th largest market in terms of countries for this product, just behind Peru, Chile, and Guatemala. At the population level, 6.6% of adult smokers smoke flavor capsule cigarettes, and this accounts for 43% of adult smokers that use this product. And females, youth, and young adults in Mexico are more likely to use flavor capsule cigarettes than males and older populations in the country. The body of literature that we have on flavor capsule cigarettes is really growing. A systematic review on flavor capsule use and perceptions citing 20 studies was recently published. Actually, I believe it was at the beginning of this month. You can see the citation at the bottom of this slide, and I encourage you to read it if you're interested in flavor capsules. But overall, the research finds that flavor capsule cigarettes are particularly attractive to young people. And they're also attractive to susceptible non-smokers and non-daily smokers. Users say that these types of cigarettes, they taste better and they're smoother compared to non-capsule cigarettes. And they really like the customizable smoking experience that the product offers. So they like being able to decide if or when they're going to crush the capsule. And in these cigarettes that we're seeing, like in Mexico with multiple capsules, like which flavor they want, or if they'd like to crush all of the capsules. Most tobacco product advertising and promotion in Mexico is already banned, and this includes even at the point of sale, where they have a number of restrictions. However, point of sale product display is still allowed, essentially making tobacco packs small advertisements in and of themselves for the product. The pictures shown here are displays of cigarettes at point of sale in Mexico. In the top left-hand corner, you can see a display of colorful packs. Some of these packs are open and you can see the colorful individual sticks. In the right top-hand corner, you can see a power wall full of a number of different cigarette brands and variants. And on the bottom, you can see the prominent display of some flavored cigarettes. That seems to be in a display towards the top of the ceiling at a point of sale. From research on packaging, we know that pack features really have a tremendous influence on how consumers think about the product. So colors, for example, communicate strength. Red is typically viewed to communicate a strong cigarette, whereas colors like white packaging or other light flavored packs seem to communicate what consumers say is a lighter cigarette. And then green, usually consumers usually readily identify green packs as menthol. And we've seen recently that they're also identifying some blue packs as menthol flavored. And different concept flavor descriptors and descriptions of filters like those you see highlighted here, like Ice Express. The pack in the right bottom corner says triple filter charcoal technology. These can be used by consumers to make inferences about the product. The objective of this study was to examine the effect of pack features that communicate flavor. So specifically color, concept, flavor descriptors, and images of capsules on product appeal, perceived harm, perceived interest, and pack preference among adolescents ages 13 to 17 years and young adult smokers ages 18 to 34 years in Mexico City. So you can see Mexico City is highlighted on this map. It's the capital and the largest city in Mexico with a population of over 8 million people. Participants for this study were recruited in Mexico City in early 2020, prior to COVID arriving, or when we knew COVID arrived in North America. And 100 neighborhoods, or colonias as they're called in Mexico, out of a total of over 1,400, were considered the primary sampling unit, and they were selected within Mexico City. And this was based on geographic variability and socioeconomic status. 30 neighborhoods classified as low SES and 70 classified as middle or high SES were selected. And the secondary sampling units, city blocks, were randomly selected within each neighborhood. All households within the selected city blocks were approached to see if they were interested in eligible participants at that address. So as you can see here, to be eligible, adults had to be 18 to 34 years old. We wanted to include a sample of young adults, a current resident of Mexico City, able to speak and read Spanish, and a current cigarette smoker or former smoker who had quit in the past year. Adolescents were eligible if they were 13 to 17 years old, a current resident of Mexico City, and able, again, to read and write Spanish. So parents of eligible adolescents gave informed oral consent, and adolescents provided electronic assent. Adult participants actually provided electronic consent. And just to note that this study was approved by ethics boards in both the US and Mexico. So quota-based sampling was used to ensure that age, gender, and socioeconomic status were proportionally represented in the sample. And you can see the number of participants from each subgroup that we were aiming to include in the table here. Recruitment and data collection staff were assigned the number of participants to be recruited from each subgroup in a given neighborhood, and responses to the eligibility questions served the purpose of screening for eligibility, but also being able to monitor fulfillment of the quotas as data collection progressed. And we used an electronic self-administered experimental survey for this study with 2 experimental procedures, and participants completed the surveys on tablets that were provided by recruiters. So the stimuli used in both experiments were images of the front of packs, cigarette packs, that I'll show you in a moment. But first I wanted to talk a little bit about the research and the packs that informed the design of the packs that were used as stimuli. So this study was actually part of a larger study using a sequential mixed methods design. Focus groups were conducted in 2019, and this is an image of packs shown to participants in those focus group discussions. And these packs were packs that were actually on the market in Mexico at that time. And from the focus groups, the study team learned that packs with contrasting colors and flavored packs were particularly attractive to youth and young adult smokers. And the citation for this paper is at the bottom of this slide. If you're interested in learning more, the paper is published in the International Journal of Public Health. And we also based the design of the stimuli on other packs we observed being sold in Mexico. So you can see the packs here. They're very colorful. They use different capsule imagery, and they have these non-characterizing flavor names like Double Fusion Ruby, Fusion Summer, Sunshine Blast. So these are what we refer to as concept flavor descriptors. Again, they're non-characterizing flavors, but they do connote some kind of like flavor or aroma. And these are the fictional packs we created to be used as stimuli in our study. We based the design on an existing Korean brand, which is named The One, in order to lend some credibility to the design, but also to avoid strong brand associations. These packs or this brand is not on the market in Mexico or any neighboring countries in Latin America, from what we know. And then we manipulated the design features, as you can see here on the packs, in order to be able to identify specific design features that influence consumer perceptions and choice. So the health warning that you see on the pack is actually a health warning that was in rotation on cigarette packs in Mexico at the time of data collection. In Mexico, there's a requirement that health warning labels cover 30% of the front of the pack and appear at the top of the pack, and cover 100% of the back and sides of the pack, which you can't see in these images. And we also conceptualized the packs to fit under 3 different categories of flavors of cigarettes, as you see here. And there is a fruity condition, a nutty condition, and what we called a cool minty condition. In experiment 1, participants were randomly assigned to one of these 3 conditions. So just as an example, let's say that you were assigned to condition A, the fruity condition. So as a participant, you wouldn't be informed that you were assigned to this condition, but you would view 7 packs from condition A one at a time, and then answer 3 questions about each pack. The first question was, how much do you like this cigarette pack, on a scale of dislike very much to like very much, with the option to select don't know or no response. Second, how harmful do you think this product is to your health, on a scale of not at all harmful to extremely harmful, with the option to select don't know or no response again. And third, participants were asked to indicate their level of agreement with this statement. This cigarette pack made me want to use the product, on a scale of strongly disagree to strongly agree, again, with the option to not respond. For experiment 2, we used a discrete choice experiment. And for this experiment, participants were randomly assigned to one of the 2 conditions that they were previously not assigned to for experiment 1. So in this hypothetical scenario, we would be assigned to condition B or C. And then in this condition, or after a random assignment, participants then viewed 8 choice sets of 3 packs each. So an example of a choice set is what you see here on the left. Different arrangements of packs are shown in each choice set, and participants were asked, which one of these would you rather try? They could select pack 1, pack 2, pack 3, none of the above, or no response. In the questionnaire, these aren't included here on this slide, but we also included questions on demographics and smoking behavior. So we grouped and dichotomized the response to questions. For experiment 1, we used mixed effects logistic regression models to assess main effects and interaction effects of features on appeal, perceived harm, and perceived interest. We used conditional logistic regression to analyze data generated by experiment 2, the discrete choice experiment. We used several models to first estimate main effects, and then we included interactions between pack features and also between features and condition and subsequent models. So that brings us to the fun part, the results. A total of 2,450 people participated in the study, and this includes 1,500 youth and 950 adults. As you can see here, the mean age of youth participants was 15 years, and the mean age of young adults was 25.7 years. Youth were considered smokers if they had ever smoked, and if they had smoked a cigarette in the past 30 days. So 17.7% of youth participants were smokers, 78.6% were classified as non-smokers, and the smoking status for 3.7% of our participants was unknown. So we'll first take a look at the results from experiment 1. As you can see here, the cigarette packs, and these are the main effects for appeal. You can see here that cigarette packs that included a background color. So these bright packs on the right were at significantly greater odds of being perceived as more appealing than a pack without color by adults and adolescents. You can also see here the association between color and appeal was stronger among adolescents than adults. On this slide, you can see that packs that included a flavor capsule image were also at significantly greater odds of being perceived as appealing compared to packs without a flavor capsule by both adults and adolescents. Packs that included the flavor name Arctic Air were at greater odds of being perceived as appealing by adults, whereas packs that included the flavor name Tropical Burst were at greater odds of being perceived as appealing by adolescents. And in terms of interactions, we saw that among adults, I don't show the coefficients here, but I'll walk you through our significant findings. So among adults and adolescents, capsule image significantly interacted with background color on perceptions of appeal, such that background color it had a stronger positive effect when it was added to packs with a capsule. So you see like these packs on the right versus packs with no capsule. Among adults, the flavor name Hazel Rush interacted with background color on appeal, such that background color actually had a weaker positive effect when it was added to packs labeled Hazel Rush versus packs with no flavor name. And then among adolescents and adults, the flavor name Arctic Air interacted with background color and had a stronger positive effect when it was added to packs labeled Arctic Air. And this didn't apply to adults, but among adolescents, the flavor name Hazel Rush interacted with the capsule image on perceptions of appeal and had a stronger positive effect when the name was added to capsule packs versus non-capsule packs. There were actually no main effects of design features on perceptions of harm among adults or adolescents. Features did, however, interact to have some significant effects on perceptions of harm. Among adolescents, capsule image interacted with background color and had a stronger positive effect when capsule image was added to packs with the background color. And those are the packs you see here on the right. And then capsule image also interacted with the flavor name Tropical Burst on perceptions of harm among adolescents and had a stronger positive effect when added to packs that had displayed the name Tropical Burst on the packs. And this wasn't true among adults, and we didn't see any other interactions between capsule and other flavor names like Arctic Air and Hazel Rush.
Jenny, sorry, I'm going to interrupt. One of our participants is just asking, I know it's a lot of information. This is a complex design. If you could go back to the first interaction slide and just maybe talk through it one more time with the appeal. I mean, just like, yeah, just there's a lot here. So maybe just to repeat that would be super.
There is a lot. So This is a slide that talks about interactions that we saw with appeal. And you can see that, so there was a positive effect on appeal when color was added to any packs compared to when it just when they were looking at plain packs. But you can see here that like adding the capsule to the packs with the background color had a stronger positive effect than, or I'm sorry, adding the background color to packs with the capsule had a stronger positive effect than when it was added to just the packs, the non-capsule packs, like those that you see on the left. So they both increased appeal, but these packs on the right with the capsule and the background color were more appealing to both adults and adolescents. And for the other interactions, so if we look at the packs in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see that the flavor name Hazel Rush, it had, when it was added to packs with the background color, so this kind of brown color, it actually had a weaker positive effect. So it still increased appeal, but it was less appealing than just this pack with like the brown background color without the Hazel Rush name among adults. The opposite was true when we looked at Arctic Air, and among adults and adolescents, the name interacted such that when it was added, when the background color was added to packs with the name Arctic Air, among adolescents and adults, they actually appeal went up, and this was stronger than if it was just added to packs with no flavor name. And then you can see in the right bottom hand corner, these Hazel Rush packs. And this finding only applied to adolescents, but the flavor name interacted with capsule image on perceptions of appeal, such that it had a stronger positive effect when it was added to capsule packs versus non-capsule packs. So again, both increased appeal, but the pack on the right was even more appealing to adolescents. I hope that provides some clarification.
That's great, Jenny. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So looking at the main effects of features on perceived interest, adults and adolescents were at greater odds of reporting interest in the packs that included a background color than packs without a background color. This is in line with what we found in regards to appeal. And just looking at the effect of the capsule image, adults and adolescents are at greater odds of reporting interest in packs that included a flavor capsule image than packs without. Again, this is in line with what we found regarding appeal. And adults were at greater odds of reporting interest in packs with the flavor names Tropical Burst and Hazel Rush. This was not true of adolescents. They were actually at greater odds of reporting interest in packs that were named Tropical Burst and Arctic Air. So we'll take a look at more interactions. This time looking at perceived interest. So among adolescents, background color interacted with capsule image on interest, such that it actually had a weaker positive effect, still positive, but a weaker effect when it was added to packs with a capsule image versus no image. And then just among adults, the background color interacted with the name Hazel Rush and had a weaker positive effect when it was added to packs named Hazel Rush. This was kind of similar to what we found with in regards to that outcome appeal. And among adolescents, background color interacted with the name Arctic Air and had a stronger positive effect when it was added to packs named Arctic Air when color was added. So now we'll get into the results of experiment 2, the discrete choice experiment. So adolescents and adults, perhaps not surprisingly, both preferred packs that included a background color, a capsule image, and flavor names compared to packs without these features. And among adults, flavor name interacted with background color on pack preference, such that flavor name had a stronger positive effect when it was added to packs with color versus packs without color. And those packs are not shown in the images here. But among adolescents and adults, background color interacted with capsule image and had a stronger positive effect when it was added to packs with colors. We also looked at the interaction between features and condition. So that is referring to conditions A, B, and C. And background color interacted with condition B, which was this condition conceptualized as nutty. And it actually had a weaker positive effect than when background color was added compared to condition A. So condition A, it was this condition conceptualized as a fruity condition, and it has these bright kind of like pink and orange colors. And then among adolescents, both adolescents and adults, the background color interacted with condition C, which was conceptualized as the cool minty condition, and it had a stronger positive effect when the background color was added compared to condition A. So like any study, this study has a number of strengths and limitations. First, the packs used as stimuli in the experiments were fictional, which could limit external validity. However, the brand and health warning labels were authentic, and the use of fictional stimuli increased internal validity and really allowed us to assess the effects of specific pack design features independent of brand familiarity and preference. The sample was limited to residents of Mexico City. Therefore, the results might not be generalizable to Mexico as a whole, particularly when we're thinking about rural areas. The packs were viewed on a tablet screen, and the research team, although they did go to great lengths to make sure that the images were large on the tablet and they were very clear, it's possible that some of the pack features as they appeared on the screen weren't as prominent to participants as they would be if they were viewing a physical pack. And then a major strength was that using these two experimental procedures allowed us to triangulate our findings. And we included the discrete choice experiment, which is kind of viewed as a gold standard for studies on consumer perceptions. So you may have participated in a discrete choice experiment before. I recently filled out a survey from Nespresso and completed one. But this study just adds to only a couple of other studies that use discrete choice experiments to examine consumer perceptions of flavor capsule cigarettes. So in terms of the main takeaways, so one of the major takeaways from the research is really that colors and capsules on packs are appealing to both youth and young adults, and the features also contribute to pack preference. But I think it's important to note that the strong associations between color and appeal among youth. And we think this might be because youth might be non-smokers or less experienced smokers than adults and might use the color of the pack more than adults to make inferences about the product. So things that they might use it as a way to deduce things such as flavor or strength. And we also hear from qualitative research that they really like these vibrant colors. They like the combinations of colors. They think they typically they think they like complement one another, and they also add to like the novelty of the pack. And youth are really attracted. They tend to be attracted to new and novel things. So I think that's why we're seeing these strong associations. And from this study, we also found that some concept flavor names, some more than others, are appealing and of interest. For example, youth, they really liked the tropical bursts packs. They thought they were appealing. And we think this might be we think this might be because tropical burst kind of implied a fruity flavor. Research has established in the past that youth have a preference for fruity flavors compared to adults. And it was also interesting to find that there were no main effects of pack features on harm. Just looking at the literature that exists on flavored capsule cigarettes, it shows that there's some mixed results in terms of the associations between flavored capsule cigarettes and perceived harm. And in our findings, we saw that there was an interaction between background color and flavor, the flavor named Tropical Burst, such that when like the capsule was added to the pack with the name Tropical Burst, these packs were actually more likely to be perceived as harmful. And I think this might have to do with like the color of the capsule and the name. So if you look at them without the background as shown here, they look like more of a red shade. And I think this could be interpreted as signaling the strength of the product, since red is usually thought to be a stronger cigarette. We also have, we see in some of the qualitative research that sometimes youth do think that the capsule packs are actually more harmful because they think that they contain more chemicals, which is interesting. But this wasn't the case among adults. And this could be because adults are more established smokers and their perceptions of harm just might not be as flexible as those of youth. So our findings really help us understand these mixed findings that we're seeing in the literature in terms of harm perceptions, and suggest that there may be differences in harm perceptions just based on different combinations of these individual pack features. But it would be really interesting to see more research that explores this. So overall, this study extends our knowledge of how specific cigarette pack design feature influences youth and young adult perceptions of appeal, harm, and perceived interest. And our findings also support advocacy efforts that are laying the groundwork for WHO FCTC recommended policies, such as things like plain packaging, bans on flavored cigarettes, and bans on product display at point of sale. There are revisions to the general law on tobacco control in Mexico that are on the table right now in the country. Unfortunately, these provisions aren't included in the policy's current form. They had to be taken out in order to gain support. Of course, as we see in all countries, the tobacco industry lobby is strong in Mexico, but those revisions have passed in the House of Representatives, and my colleague informed me this morning that they'll be read in the Senate on supposed to be Thursday and voted on. So we hope that in the future, and those revisions focus on smoke-free environments and some TAPS provisions, but not including product display. So we hope that in the future, these policies like product display and flavor bans can be adopted in the country. And before I end the presentation, I also wanted to let you know a little bit about what other work we're doing at IGTC in Mexico. Right now, data collectors are collecting cigarette packs and other tobacco packs in Mexico as a part of the tobacco pack surveillance system, which we call TPACS for short. This is just a screenshot of the TPACS website, and that'll allow researchers at IGTC to look at compliance with the health warning label regulations in the country, and also look at the different marketing appeals that are being used on packs. And these are just like a couple of packs that were collected during the pilot. So you can still see this capsule imagery is still being used, as well as concept descriptors. So it doesn't look like the market has changed a lot from 2020 when we conducted the study. So I wanted to say thank you to a couple of more people. First, Farah Islam at the University of South Carolina, who is an expert in discrete choice experiment analysis and consulted with us on our analysis. And thank you to Berterman, which is a market research company in Mexico City, who helped us with the field work. So thank you all for listening today. I know we'll have time for question and answers. If I don't get to your question, please feel free to email me, and you can also find me on Twitter.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jenny. That's a fantastic study, a great presentation as well. So I think we've got some questions in the Q&A, but I guess I just wanted to make a comment that it seems like, you know, color, no matter what, is, you know, people, whether they're smokers or non-smokers, are responding positively to it. And it's a real strong message that we got to get rid of color from these harmful products, no matter what. So it's sort of, it's unfortunate that in Mexico right now, they've had to sort of step back from some of the stronger packaging opportunities, but yeah, it's always challenging when it comes to the policy realm, and hopefully that will get back on the agenda soon, and especially having data like this that are showing what stronger role, even just color, let alone the capsules and the descriptors are playing. So maybe I'll jump into some of the questions. So the first question talks about, just goes back to sort of the context of the study, and the you know, that about 27% of the market is flavored cigarettes. And so the question is Mexico a market in which capsule cigarettes replaced an existing flavored cigarette market? Or do you know if they got added on to a pre-existing or mature flavor market, or flavors a new innovation in the market dominated by traditional cigarettes?
That's a great question. So just to clarify, the 27% market share is for flavor capsule cigarettes specifically. So it doesn't, I actually don't have the number for the market that is flavor capsule cigarettes as a generally, but flavor capsule cigarettes, they were introduced in 2007, but we've really seen like growth in the last, I would say, 5 years or so. And it seems like in Mexico, they've largely replaced the, you know, flavor capsule or flavored cigarettes. And we don't see a lot of flavored cigarettes that don't have capsules, but it's also grown this market a lot. It's the biggest growing combustible product. And as an innovation, we're seeing that it's really contributing to what we would think as youth initiation. They're, you know, as you see, they're very appealing to youth and attractive and creating a lot of interest. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's great. And then a follow-on question, and again, I'm not sure if you know the answer to this, is about the price of these flavor capsule cigarettes in Mexico compared to, you know, non-flavored or non-capsule cigarettes. So I know we have those data in the TPACs and on the site actually, so you could actually go in and we list the price we paid for every pack of cigarettes. But do you happen to know offhand? And if not, I don't know if maybe Kevin's able to type an answer, but do you happen to recall I know you didn't look at price for this study.
Yeah, we didn't look at price in this study, but if anybody had, and I don't know off the top of my head, what the mark or if they're overall more expensive, but I think from what I can remember, reading about the market, I think there is like an economy kind of level of capsule cigarettes as well as a premium market for flavor capsule cigarettes. So I'm not sure that there's any like there's an overall trend, but yeah, if anyone knows the answer to that question, feel free to type in the chat.
Thanks. Yeah. And please post questions in the Q&A box. That's where we're taking questions from. Again, this is sort of going very big picture and not directly related to the analysis that you did, but just wondering if I guess Mexico is considering, is in the process of revising its tobacco control or updating its tobacco control law. So the question about, is there anything that they're doing to ban illicit trade and also with the growing of tobacco in Mexico?
Mm-hmm. I actually don't know the answer to that question. I'm sorry. But again, if anybody has an answer, feel free to type it in the chat. I don't believe there's anything specifically included in the revision, but I know that must be of interest to quite a few people.
Yeah, thank you. And so I just wanted to sort of go back to the data that you presented. And so I think, is it fair to summarize that like color is just having color, no matter, seems to have a big impact. And then between, having images of capsules, so sort of denoting that it's a capsule cigarette, versus having a concept descriptor name. Do you have a sense of whether any of those were more impactful, either with appeal or harm or interest, like between the name and the image of the capsule? Was there any, can you remind us, were there any strong differences?
Yeah, it seemed that when we look at main effects, there is or image or the capsule image really increases these perceptions or of appeal. So they're very appealing, and we found this among both adults and adolescents. In terms of flavor name, it seems that adults and adolescents find different flavor names appealing. So adolescents, they liked this flavor name Tropical Burst in particular. And again, I think it's because this implies a sort of fruity flavor, at least how we envisioned it. And adults, they kind of gravitated more towards the Hazel Rush. And this was what we conceptualize as like the nutty flavor. So I think it just could be thought of as, it's a different flavor profile. But then both adults and adolescents, they seem to be attracted to the Arctic air, which is what we conceptualize as like the cool minty condition. And so I think there is some, like we could say overall, adults and adolescents really are attracted to these flavor capsules, but in terms of like the actual flavor, we see some differences between adults and adolescents.
Yeah, and we see some differences, with the three sort of different types of flavor conditions that this study looked at. I guess one potential something we have to keep in mind is that, let's say, the tobacco industry says, well, let's just ban the flavors that are appealing to kids. So we'll take out the fruity flavors, maybe the mint, but, nutty isn't nutty, coffee, whatever we want to, isn't a problem. But it could be that if they're not the fruity flavors on the
Mhm.
marketplace. The kids will say, will like the Hazel Rush because that is something, different.
Mhm.
So I think that's just you have to
Okay.
be careful about assuming that they, won't be, that they aren't attracted to that, let's say in a marketplace where there aren't other flavors to choose from.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think, let me just see, I'm looking through the Q&A. I think there are some comments in the chat, so thank you. So I think, Jenny, do you want to just, like, based on this work, do you have thoughts on sort of the next study that should be done, or how, or if people wanted to repeat this in other countries, any tweaks you would make or changes you would make if you had to do it again, and or what might come, what's important to do next?
Yeah, I think the findings on harm are really interesting, and the fact that we're seeing mixed results in the literature in terms of whether flavor capsules are thought of as um, more or less harmful, like I said earlier, are mixed. So I think it warrants more exploration. We found that in some cases, like different combinations of features resulted in um, you know, at least adolescents thinking a pack was actually harmful. So it would be interesting to explore and combine, again, different features to look at this more closely, and perhaps add in other features. And in for other countries, and being able to improve on the study, I think, you can always ask more questions in the discrete choice experiment. And you have the great thing about discrete choice experiments is you can add a number of other features. So, for those who are interested in price, you could add that as a factor, and list them at different prices and see if that would impact pack preference, and what participants, what consumers, choose. So I think that would be a really interesting direction to go if this is conducted in other countries. Oh, I think you're muted.
Right, apologize. Yeah, so both Grazi and Kevin commented on price, and basically it seems like from the data that we have, the capsule cigarettes are on average more expensive, but we definitely know there are capsule cigarettes in the discount market as well. So it might involve a more sophisticated analysis, but on the surface there, we see capsule cigarettes available at different price points, but in general, they're more expensive. And we know that even among youth, that they're willing to pay a little more for a more desirable brand or pack, right? So they tend to go for certain brand names that might be more expensive than the discount because they're trying to buy an image. So yes, thanks for those comments. Well, this has really been terrific, and I know for folks who are want to see more and read more, I think you have a paper that is hopefully coming out soon. I think it was it's in the process. It's in the review process. So hopefully that will come out soon. Just a couple of quick questions. Just one thing, again, if was there any difference in gender in terms of preferences and perceptions?
We haven't looked at that, but that's a great question, and that's something we can explore next.
Great. Okay, yeah, there's already a lot of data to present. Okay, well, thank you so much. Thanks everyone for joining us. Thank you, Jenny, for presenting this important work. And
Thank
we'll
you.
see you all in a few weeks with our next Innovations in Tobacco Control seminar. So thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.